Hey everybody, it's Matt Shue from Upright Health, and I'm here today squatting with my buddy Josh Hash. Watch out for those kicks. Watch out for those kicks. So today we are answering a question from one of our YouTube fans, Matt, who actually was corresponding with me over email about, it's not me, it's a different Matt, corresponding with me about squatting. The term is ATG, or butt to ground, or butt to grass, or...
Oh, you're going real PG today,
I'm going
huh?
very PG today. ATG, you figure out what I'm actually saying.
Right.
So the idea is to be able to get your butt as close to the ground as possible, so you're kind of just in a relaxed position like I am right now. And so what he was concerned about was how much lumbar flexion is allowed, like your lower back, and how much external rotation of your feet is allowed, like can your feet point out like this? And then what he can do to be able to sit in this ATG position for 10 minutes. So that's his goal, and so we've been talking about that, and we wanted to share a couple ideas since he was concerned about being able to do this correctly and being able to do this in a way that doesn't hurt himself and that eventually gets him where he needs to go. So some of his major concerns were external rotation, lumbar flexion, and also having to elevate his heels.
Right.
So Josh and I were talking about this. Josh, what do you want to say about the lumbar flexion piece?
I think lumbar flexion is fine in an unloaded squat like this, right? I think an actual natural resting position when you're using a squat as like a position that maybe you could say our ancestors used it for would have some lumbar flexion because you're just hanging out there, right? That's totally fine. But you should also be able to create tension there, and you should also be able to you should be working towards getting your squat to go as deep as possible without getting that lumbar flexion. So then when you do put some load on you, you can maintain a neutral spine, because a lot of lumbar rounding with load on you probably isn't going to be a good thing.
Yeah, and one thing that we wanted to also talk about is when you're doing, when you're getting lumbar flexion, like right now I probably have a tiny bit of lumbar flexion, that's fine. It's when you start talking about you have such a lack of hip mobility that you're getting the crazy lumbar flexion, which is where we would start getting concerned when we're training somebody.
Right.
We don't want them to get here.
Right.
Like way up here, and then when you go down it's even worse, then that's not so good. And if you see your upper back is caved into kyphosis like this, you're probably not prepared to be this deep, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, is where are you getting lumbar flexion? If you're getting lumbar flexion at parallel, then you need to work on that for sure.
Yeah. Stop doing that.
You got a long ways to go. You got some work ahead of you. But if you're in a deep squat like Matt was just in, with his butt almost touching his heels, then yeah, some lumbar flexion is totally okay.
Yeah. Let's see. So
feet out, externally rotated feet.
Yep.
I think that is fine as well, to a point, right? And like you see Matt right here, toes slightly turned out is just normal for a squat position. You shouldn't have to squat with your feet totally straight.
I can.
But you can. Ninja. But if you do have to turn your feet out a lot, then there probably is an ankle range of motion problem. Not problem, but maybe just you're limited there, and we should be working on some dorsiflexion, right?
Yep. Yeah. So if the ankles are a limiter, you definitely want to be working on dorsiflexion. If your hips are a limiter, you need to be working on some hip flexion, right? So Matt was asking about regressions and things to work on to help him be able to do the 10-minute ATG squat, and what we were talking about was basically you need to work on improving the components of the movement and not necessarily staying in the position longer. So hip rotation would be a really good thing to be working on, so being able to get better hip internal and external rotation. So the one position that's really helpful for that is maybe going into something like a 90-90 position on the floor. So this gives you access to being able to work on your hip external rotation and hip flexion, right? So being able to handle going into something like that really helps you get deeper into a squat. Hip internal rotation, just being able to to get some hip internal rotation would probably be really helpful. There are exercises that we've shown on this channel that help you with that. You can check out the Healthy Hips guide to help you out with that as well. We'll have a link in the description here on YouTube. And ankle mobility, right?
Yeah, ankle mobility. We'll link a video from my Strength Side channel, and we have some tips on how you can improve your dorsiflexion. I think for hip flexion, we have videos on that as well, but one really simple one to do is just to actively bring your knee up as high as you can, right? And then just hold this, really contract here. You can even put your hands there and contract against it. And if you look at what that is it's the same position as this, right? Just bringing your knee up as far as you can to get this hip nice and flexed, be able to sit down into a deep squat.
Yeah, one thing I want to add is in this position, Josh can even do hip isometrics here. So let's say he's not able to get that deep. If he gets into wherever he can get to and then starts working on some isometric contractions, in and out and up, and working like hip flexion, working hip adduction, working hip abduction, then all that can help his hips learn how to get a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, and a little bit deeper. So, so Matt, the answer to your question is basically, yeah, there's a ton of stuff you can do. Work on the components of the movement. Don't necessarily just stay in that position for long periods of time, but you can use that 10-minute goal as a way to keep you motivated, and you can keep testing to see if you can get there. But you definitely want to work on getting the actual ranges of motion accomplished in a piece-by-piece method so that you can then do it comfortably and without causing yourself to compromise form.
Right. Really work on controlling all the range of motion that you have of your hips. The more control you have over it, the more comfortable you're going to be in your squat.
All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to check out the description for all the links in this video, and also head over to our Facebook page. Be sure to give us a like, and be sure to sign up for our newsletters so that we can talk to you all the time by email. You know you want to hear more. All right, guys, so that's it. Remember that pain sucks.
Life's in it.
If you liked the video, don't forget to like, share, and comment. And don't forget to subscribe.